Hi everyone, welcome to Tom's Man Shed. Okay, now I recently uploaded a video showing a discrepancy, or hoping to show a discrepancy, in the state of charge indicator on the MG4 that I own after using it via the V2L to run the man shed. Now, I'd experienced a couple of times the indicator on the car showing a certain state of charge. Then when I'd made a short journey to Lidl's, coming out after doing my shopping, turning it on, and the charge being vastly lower. Now, when I made that video last month, I tried to get it to do it, and sure enough, Murphy's Law, it wouldn't do it. Everything was showing great. But what I hadn't done, because I wasn't sure when this discrepancy had it, when I went to Lidl's, I wasn't watching the state of charge of the battery all the journey there or whatever, and it wasn't until I came out that I noticed it. So I wasn't sure whether it was between unplugging the V2L or locking the car and relocking it or whatever. So I tried doing that, and if you haven't looked at that video, this is going to be pretty much the same, but in this one I actually get it to do it, so you will see exactly what I meant, which you didn't in that one. The link's up here. It goes a bit more into how much kilowatts per day the shed uses, and I explain it a bit more there. But I'm going to skim over that bit here just to show you it happening. So, to emphasise, what happens is, if you're relying on the state of charge indicator via the app or the car, and it's not just the app, I got a lot of few comments saying, yeah, it can be the app not updating yet. I realise that it doesn't always update from the last shown charge, but it was doing, and the car showed exactly the same, so it's nothing to do with the app. And you'll see it actually happening on this. But it just seems to happen after it's been left for quite a while, and then you come back to it. Locking it, waiting a minute, unlocking it, doesn't do anything until, like I was in Lidl's this time, for 45 minutes, and then it happened, as you'll see. So we're going to start off the video. Again, to skim over it quickly, I run the man shed, off the car during winter when I've got my heater on in here. It's a heck of a lot cheaper running it off the car, which I've charged up overnight on Octopus, whatever it's called, the 7.5 pence per minute between 11:30 at night and 5:30 in the morning. So a full 6 hours at 7.5 pence per kilowatt hour. So that's pretty good. And then I plug the car in the morning, flick over the changeover switch in the garage, and run the shed till 11:30 and that off the car. Again, click up here for a link on showing all the V2L stuff and how I've rigged the shed up and everything. So this time, this test, I'd been running the shed for about 3 days. The car's been up the drive, it hasn't been moved for 3 days or so, from about 10 o'clock in the morning till about 11, 12 o'clock at night when I go to bed. And you'll see it used in that 3 days and 4 hours, 31, I think it's 31, you'll soon see, kilowatts of energy. Now, the car has only got, and again, I'm going to keep emphasising this between clips of the journey, the car has only got a usable battery capacity of 61.7 kilowatts. It's a 64 kilowatt battery, usable 61.7. So if I've used 31 kilowatts of power, that should be about 50% showing on the state of charge indicator. As it is, it doesn't show that. It's used a heck of a lot more than that, even though the state of the charge indicator shows a lot less. So let's get straight into it now. I show you the meter, plug-in watt meter in the garage that I've plugged in temporarily to measure this. And that is accurate. I've tested on other things. There's no inaccuracies there. So let's have a look now, and that'll show you. And then I'll go to the car, unplug the V2L lead, lock it, get up, and then we'll do the journey to Lidl. So let's start at the beginning now. Okay, so hopefully, yeah, I can see that we've been on, if we look at the bottom, 3 days and 4 hours. So 3 days and 4 hours and a minute. And in all that time, we've used 31 kilowatts of power, 31.15. Now if we look at the app here, I'll show it in the car. I'll just refresh it just to show you. I'll turn it off and then I'll restart it all again. Right, so the app is showing 66%, as it will in the car in a minute. Now that can't be right. 31 kilowatts, and I've only used 34% of the battery in the car. The battery in the car is only a 60 kilowatt usable, so if I've used over 30 kilowatts, so it's over half the car's battery, this reading should be showing at about 50% now. So we'll go to the car, lock the garage up now. I'll speed all this up. So we've unlocked the car. I'll now stop it discharging. There, we can see it still says 66%, just like the app did. Click on stop. I'll now unplug it. And we'll set off to LIDL's. Now, when I noticed it last time, I wasn't monitoring the charge all the way to LIDL's. It's when I came out that I noticed the massive drop. So I'm going to put it in my Gorilla Pod here now and film the journey to LIDL's. Hopefully you'll still be able to see the screen there. So as you saw there, 31 kilowatts used, and it still said I've got 66% of the car battery left, which, like I said, just cannot be right. So let's set off now to LIDL's. It's about a 2-mile journey there, about 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back. I've sped up the journey, obviously. You don't want to see the whole thing. I freeze it just when you see the tram past, which is just before we go into the LIDL's car park. And you'll see the state of charge indicator has only gone down a couple of percent, which is right for that journey. And you'll see what it is when I leave the car and lock it to go into LIDL. So let's have a look at that now. So this time I'm going to, once it's demisted the car, as you can see the windscreen's a bit fogged up. It's been snowing outside, but you can see the time is 14:29, Thursday the 8th of February. It's showing we've got 66% charge. Let's see how many we have once we get to LIDL's. So you can see we're arriving at Lidl's now, parked in the usual spot as far away from other cars as possible. Right, so as you can see, we've arrived at Lidl's. You can see we're still at 62% charge showing. Now, it cannot be 62%. I cannot have used 31 kilowatts of power at home and only used, 62, 72, 82, 92, 38% of power. So, a pound to a penny. When I come out of Lidl's, that'll have dropped vastly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lock the car, get out, leave the camera running. I'm going to lock the car, just wait a minute outside in the rain, and then come back in and see if it's reset then, or whether it's a certain amount of time after shutting down, like it usually would be, like half an hour in Lidl's. So I'll just do that now. Okay, so it's been a minute now. And it's still showing 62%. So I'm going to turn the camera off now. I'm going to go in Lidl's, do my shopping, see what it is when I come back out. Okay, so I was about 45 minutes or so in Lidl's. I always have a good look around the tools. I was after a certain tool and unfortunately it didn't have it that I wanted to do a review on. I'm going to a different Lidl's probably tomorrow. I'll see if I can get hold of it there. But anyway, that's by the by. But when I was in Lidl's and I'd finished me 40-minute shop, I turned the app on while I was in the store and I did a screen recording. So I'll show you that now. I've done a bit of overdubbing because I did it as I walked out and the phone was picking up terrible wind noise. So I've turned the phone volume down and I'll do a bit of a re-recording to explain it over that. But the wind does die down a bit later as I'm walking to the car. I'm recording this on the phone, remember, walking to the car. So I do use the audio recorded then. So let's have a look at that and what the app showed me in the store that the battery was at. So yeah, like I say, terrible wind noise as I walk to the car, so I'm re-recording this, but you can see me just booting the app up now, and I'll now play the original sound file with my voice as it happened. You can see the time now, 15:28, so I've been about half an hour something like that probably, and it has shot down to 29%. That is the true state of charge. So 62 when I arrived, now 29. So for some reason it doesn't register the true state of charge until it's had a good pause and I think about it. So as you saw there, I arrived at Lidl's at what time was it? 14:42. And the state of charge was still showing, this is after like a 10-minute journey, was showing 62%, which I knew was wrong. About 3/4 of an hour in Lidl's. I checked it on the app at 15:28, so about 3/4 of an hour later, and it had shot down to 29%, which is the right setting. It should be, after all that 3 days of usage. We'll discuss it at the later, at losses and stuff like that, and actual what the charge should be. But 29% was the actual true, what it should have shown to begin with. Now, when I got to the car, unlocked it, I thought I'd turned the Osmo on, the GoPro type thing, to film it as I got in, and I'd turned it on, but I forgot to press the start button. But you could see it on the app, it was down to 29, and I film a bit just, if you look at all the times, I've not altered anything at all. Like I say, I got in the car at Lidl's at 15:28. You'll see the date and time as I arrive home, 10 minutes or so, 10-15 minutes later, the journey home, that the charge has gone down it appropriately. So as I back up the drive, you'll see the actual indication in the car as well. So let's have a look at that now. So, arrival at home. And as you can see, 26%. Check all the times and the dates, and that's the actual percentage it should have been. And when I set off to make probably like a 3-mile round trip, 4-mile round trip, it was 62%. So that is the correct state of charge, not 62 that was showing when I set off. So there you have it, a definite, massively inaccurate state of charge reading after using V2L. Now the actual figures, as you saw there, when I arrived at the Lidl car park, it was 29% after being around Lidl's and unlocking it. So say I'd used about 3% to get there. It should have been about 32%, I reckon, when I left home, and it showed 66%. So you'd think using about 31 kilowatts from a 60 kilowatt battery should have been about 48%, but there's obviously losses when it converting the voltage of the battery into mains voltage to the converter or whatever it's called. There's obviously losses there. Also, all the time it's providing V2L, it's keeping the battery, the 12-volt battery of the car, topped up, because that's showing 14 volts on the app, so it's keeping that on charge. So you're going to get some losses. You're not going to get all of that capacity into your house. So I reckon it was about right, 32% leaving home. Now, okay, you might never come across this. I'm pretty unique in running my shed like this off the V2L, but it suits me fine. It's dead easy to do. It takes me a minute every morning to plug it, or I do it for about 3 days. I hardly use the car. Every 3 days, plug it in and charge it up once a week or so. And that suits me fine. So you may never actually come across this problem, but it is useful to know if you are going to use a VTL. So a scenario is, say you went camping, you arrived at the campsite with like 80% charge or something like that, thinking, I've got plenty of charge or anything. You plug it in, you run your tent, you might have a little heater, a little fan heater in tent, your TV, whatever. You're not using your car, you're going out at night in taxis or buses or whatever. Your car's just there at the campsite for, say, 3 days. You check your reading, you think, I've only gone down to 60%. Plenty of charge to get home or to wherever you're planning on going. You set off, you unplug your campsite, you set off to go home. It shows still you got your 60%, but you're not. You're more likely to be down at like 20-30%. Now, is it going to suddenly shoot down during a long, say, a 1 hour journey? I don't know. But like I said, I've shown that if you turn it off, lock the car, disappear for 45 minutes, come back, then it has dropped half to what it registered when you got there. So it could definitely give you some false readings and false sense of security on the charge getting home. So worth knowing about, I think. Right now, I've inserted this bit into the video. I was just editing it and putting it together. I filmed that trip to Lidl's last Thursday. It's now Monday. And during editing, I thought, I wonder what sort of time limit it is before the true state of charge kicks in. As you saw earlier in this video, when I arrived at Lidl's, I thought, I wonder if it's just, a journey that's required, a certain amount of miles, whatever, and then I'll lock it and unlock. But no, as you saw, I locked it, I got out, it was showing the wrong state of charge, 62% or whatever it was. I locked it, I stood outside in the rain for a minute, unlocked the car, got back in, and it was still showing that wrong state of charge. It wasn't until I'd relocked it, gone round Lidl's, done my shop, 40 minutes or so later, when I come back to the car, then it had shot down to that 29% or whatever it was, the true state of charge. So I thought, well, obviously, a minute is too short for it to reset. How many minutes will it take? So this morning, I thought, I'm going to film this and try it after sort of like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes or whatever. So you'll see now the result, and it worked after 15 minutes. I was going to try it after 5 minutes, but I got waylaid doing something else and time flew, and I thought, oh God, it's been 15 minutes. So you'll see here now that yes, it does spring back into life and do the true state of charge after just 15 minutes parked up the drive. So it doesn't need a journey. It is definitely a time thing. So let's have a look at that now, and then we'll discuss the results. Okay, so get in the car. I shall turn off the V2L. Right, so the time is 12:17, Monday, February the 12th. We showed 69% charge. Go to the discharging screen, press stop. Right, so that's it. I'll lock the door. Well, first of all, I'll disconnect the V2L. And I will lock the car. And it is now. As you can see, it is now 12:18. So I'm going to come back in 5 minutes and see what the charge is. And I'm going to sort of try it every 10 minutes and see if it's just a time thing. Okay, so it's been a bit longer than 5 minutes. It was, 12:17, so it's now 14 minutes later. Let's see if what the state of charge reads. So we're at 66, was it? Percent state of charge. Yeah, and that's it. It's jumped down after 10 minutes to 15 minutes, down to 44%. So it's a time limit thing. So as you saw there, 15 minutes, and it was okay. So somewhere between 1 minute and 14 minutes, that's how long it takes for its brain to actually register the true state of charge after using the V2L. So whether it's going to be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or what, I don't know. I'm not going to go and do all these 2-minute tests, but just bear that in mind. You do need to give it over a minute, maybe up to 10 or 15 minutes before it'll give you the true state of charge. Now, one thing I didn't point out, and I'll show you this now, is you can set on the discharge screen, you can set a slider to not discharge lower than a certain level. Now, it stops at 20%. It won't let you select anything lower than that. I've tried clicking to sort of like say run it down to 10%. I wouldn't normally do that, but just to see if it worked, and it doesn't respond. So I'll show you that now. You can select various settings, 80, 70, whatever. It's a bit typical sort of like MG infotainment screen response. It sometimes doesn't always respond. And the colours, you know, for the actual strap, you'll see it's almost the same. It'd be better if it was two contrasting colours. But let's have a look at that now, the do not run the battery lower than this percentage feature. So yeah, if we go into onto discharging and select the main screen, you can select on here how far you want it to discharge. You can't set it lower than 20%. So say your car was at 100% charge and you plugged it into the V2L, it'll go down to 20, 80, 60, 40, whatever you select. But you can't select lower than 20. I've tried tapping that loads of times. You can't set. So it'll always leave you with 20% charge. It won't run your battery lower than that. At the moment, it's showing here. It'd be better if these two were proper different colours, but it's just a slightly different shade of green. I don't know whether you can tell there. So the 20% don't go lower than this line is there. That is showing the current charge in the car, and we can set it like here by tapping it. So if we set it there, it wouldn't go lower than 80% on discharge. So you're never going to run it totally flat, but if you only wanted to run it down to 60, you know, you'd set it at that, and then, you know, you're going to have 60% charge, and it just suddenly goes out. It just suddenly cuts off when it reaches down there. It is a bit hit and miss, this thing. You struggle to get it sometimes to respond, but I'm not sure where to touch it. But so I've got it down there now, 20%. So if I run it lower than that, which I won't, it would cut off and not totally flatten the battery. And you can see now the animation there. We are plugged in. I don't know if I want to start it discharging. Just click that, start. Makes a few clunks and clangs, and that's now discharging. Press that to stop it, discharge. So a good feature there, you can set it to not discharge past a certain level, so you know you got enough for your journey home or to the next charge point or whatever. Having said that, what does it go off? Does it go off its true sort of figures? So if you've got it plugged in for like days on end, slowly going down, and it's showing the wrong charge, it thinks there's 60% left in the battery, as I've demonstrated, where it's more likely to be 30%. As it comes up to that 20%, is that going to think, oh, well, I've got loads left now, I'll go past that, or is it actually going to cut off at 20%? I don't know with these discrepancies. So, but like I say, I've never run it that low anyway. I know in my head how much my shed is using and how much and when to replug it back in. And I usually do that around about the 30-40% mark or something like that. I'm glad this one worked. Like I said, when I started filming this, because it had happened before, the last time it didn't work. So it doesn't do it every time. I think it depends on how far you run it down. Again, does it sort of like display accurately to begin with? So say running it down from 100 to 90, is that accurate? And then it sort of like goes less accurate. Is it a linear scale where it's all inaccurate, or does it get to a certain one and then freeze? I'm not sure anymore. I don't know any of these things. You'd have to monitor it constantly for that. But like I say, just be aware that you're not going to get your true reading until you've turned it off, locked it, and waited a few minutes. So if it has been of some use, please, please, please give me a thumbs up. If not, by all means, give me a thumbs down. If you haven't already subscribed and you'd like to, click the little picture here of the shed, and then click the bell icon below, and you'll be informed of any uploads as soon as I do them. I've got a few in the pipeline. I've been a bit slow doing this because I've been doing tons of others. I've just built 2 PCs for my daughters. But I mentioned earlier in this video, last week I went to Lidl's for a certain tool, and they didn't have it in the Cleveland Lidl, so I've been to the Polton Lidl today. I'm quite lucky. I've got 2 Lidl stores, both within like a 10-minute drive, really, for me. And but the Polton one is a bit bigger, so I've been there today, and they have got it, and it's this. A cordless jigsaw and saber saw. So I'll go into details of that in the review for it. Also picked up the other week, this will be a pretty quick one, this is just a handy hacksaw. I just wanted a proper full-size hacksaw frame because I'd lost mine, and it comes with a couple of extra blades, and it's various blades for cutting various stuff, so won't be a long review of that. It's just a hand tool, so I'll be doing one on that. So hopefully I'll catch you for them. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of this one. Bye for now.